D-Mac, how'd you pull up?
Yeah, put up pretty well. Obviously, pretty tough conditions, tough game, and being round one, it does take a few weeks to sort of get back into the swing of recovering and then preparing for the next week. So, but yeah, pulled up really well, and just looking forward to progressing now.
How hard is that now to back up against the Hawks? I mean, it's a pretty brutal opening 2 rounds.
Yeah, look, it's a really tough competition. So, every week's difficult. You saw on the weekend a few surprise results. The competition is just so even, so every week's a real challenge for us.
I suppose with Hawthorn, D-Mac, they're coming off a tough loss against Essendon on the weekend. Do you expect them to be a bit more motivated to get that first win of the season?
Oh, look, we always expect them to be motivated, and they're a really quality team. They have been for so long. We haven't managed to beat them for a number of years, so it's we're not underestimating them at all. They've got a lot of quality right throughout their team. They're well coached, and they've got a lot of experience, so it's going to be really difficult for us.
You would have been a part of those sides that have lost, finals. A couple that stand out. Like, how tough is it to beat Hawthorn, and what are your memories of a couple of those really tough games?
Oh, look, they're a great side, and they have been for so long, and have a lot of respect for the way they go about their business. Obviously, number of quality players right throughout their team. As I said, they're well coached, they structure up really well, and they play so well at the MCG. So that's another challenge for us, but I know this group's really excited for it.
Hodgie obviously back for them as well. How much of that help them out?
Yeah, obviously, he's an absolute champion, and it really does help their team out. So, we'll focus, a bit of time on them and the way they like to play. But ultimately, it's about how we execute our game plan. We're just focusing on that, and we think if we can do that, we can be competitive with every team in the comp.
The midfield on the weekend against the Giants was sensational. D-Mac, like the pace, the speed, Cameron, Atkins, Miller, yourself and Dougie, was that just something you guys had talked about during the pre-season to work on?
Yeah, look, we've been working on that. We've been working on our flexibility to get a number of guys to run through that midfield, and we saw guys like you mentioned, Miller and Atkins and Cameron, who are really young and have sort of added that energy and that speed to us, and to have a number of guys roll through there and stay fresh when we roll through there is really important. So that's one of the things we've been working on. We saw it on the weekend, and we'll just keep looking to build in that area also.
You've been around for a while now, D-Mac. Is this just about the deepest you've run as a list for a while?
Yeah, look, we have a lot of confidence in our squad, and that's something that does take a bit of time to develop, particularly over pre-season, and then obviously coming into the season. We're a group who've played a bit of footy together now, which is really important, and as I said before, it does take time. It's not one of those things that just happens. It does take that time to build the chemistry and guys to understand how each other play, and I think we're at that point where we have a lot of confidence in the guys that come in. Even if we look at Rolling Knight, for example, who came in late on the weekend, we knew what we'd get from Rolly, and he performed really well, and it was no surprise to any of us.
Is it probably the quickest cross down? There's been a bit of talk that it's, in terms of pure leg speed, it's been just right up there. You've been there for 8 or 10 years, D-Mac. Have you noticed that at the moment?
Oh, I think it's one of our assets. There's no doubt about that. We've worked really hard on it. We've obviously, the recruiting team has tried to, put a bit of focus on that area because it's so important. But having said that, ultimately it's how quick you move the ball, and that can sort of determine how quick you look as a team. So that's one of the things I think we've improved. It's one of our strengths, and we'll continue to keep working on it.
Touched on 90 coming in a roundabout way. I mean, you unfortunately don't carry an extra forward with Tex, but you get an extra runner. So does that help your midfield balance, especially on a hot day, round one against the Giants? It could almost work to your advantage.
Yeah, well, that's obviously one of the strengths that Riley brings to the team. But having said that, we're pretty confident however we structure up, that we've done enough work in guys playing different roles, that someone can come and fill a specific role when they need to. So it's just having that depth and versatility within our squad, and that's one of the things that we've got really good confidence in at the moment.
So Tex obviously comes back in, you lose Knight, you're confident you can cover that run that you'll lose because obviously they're two completely different players?
Yeah, look, if Tex is ready to go, then unfortunately we're going to have someone who's a bit unlucky, but as I said before, Tex will be a great help. His leadership, his performance, all that. There'll be an unlucky player if that's the case, but as I said, we've got so much confidence in the depth of our squad. Whoever comes in, plays whatever role, that they're able to execute it.
Crouch and Tomo, where are those two blokes at? Are they knocking down the door to possibly play this weekend?
Oh, look, they're training really hard. I'm not too sure the specifics. Obviously, we haven't had our main session for this week, so we'll have to wait till later in the week for those guys to put their cases forward. I'm sure the club will release information as it comes available.
And your own form, D-Mac, to start the way you did, how much confidence does that give you going forward?
Yeah, it does give myself a lot of confidence. Obviously, had a really good summer and put a lot of work in, and I guess that's just the basis now, and just really enjoy playing with this group. It's a good group to play with, and to put that performance out for us as a group is what we expect every week, and that's a really good environment to be in a group that has high expectations, has high standards, and really drives each other.
And Lee touched on it, but those young guys coming in, does that reinvigorate you as a player that's getting a bit older now, when you've got young guys that are young, exciting, breaking the lines, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it does. They bring great energy and real excitement to our side, and our fans would really enjoy the brand of footy that we played on the weekend, and that's something that is important to us. We want to keep our fans engaged and play the type of footy that they're proud of. So that was really pleasing.
How do you stay ahead? How do you stay ahead of the young guys? I mean, it's the age-old argument of age versus youth, and how do you make sure you do that?
Well, it's a challenge, isn't it? They come in, they've got great energy. Every player who walks in the door here has a lot of ability and brings something special to the table. So, as an older, more senior player, the onus is on you to keep striving to get better and keep improving, and that's one of the things that this club we've really ramped home is you try and develop all the way through your career. It's not a process where you just develop when you're a young player and then get to a certain level. You want to always drive to keep getting better, and those younger guys force you to do that.
All pre-season that chat was about versatility, getting those young guys through the middle. Is it just great to see that it came together so quickly? Because you can talk about it all pre-season, but then to actually realise that in round one must be a great feeling.
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of unknown going into round one, how it's all going to play out, but as I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of confidence in the work that we've done. We've played a bit of footy now as a group, even though it is a pretty young group. We've played a lot of footy together, and that's really important. And we have a lot of care for each other as a team, and I think that's one of the things that we bring to the table at the moment.
There's all the talk about flexibility. D-Mac, have you been playing a bit across half back or half forward as well?
So played a little bit through half back, through the midfield, through the wing, and that's the same for most of our guys. They've played a number of different roles, and that's no surprise. If you look at the teams who have had success, particularly last year, you look at the Bulldogs. A number of different players play different roles, and just allows you to have that flexibility in your team, and is a lot harder to plan for if you're the opposition.
As you get longer into your career, do you think half back, like more time in half back, sort of 50-50 with midfield, or how do you think it will sort of spread out?
Oh, look, it will go the way it goes, I guess, with the depending on what the coaching staff want, how the team structures up, and to be honest, just to play any role in the team is really a privilege, and that will I guess play out as it does.
How important is it to back it up this week? Because obviously you guys made a bit of a statement by beating a side many regard as the premiership favourites last weekend. Like, it really counts for nothing if you go down this on Saturday.
Well, yeah, I mean it was 4 points on the weekend. This week's worth the same, and that's really that's the reality of it. Like, nothing. If we look forward and if if we look too far forward, then what happened on the weekend's not going to mean anything. So, yeah, we'll just concentrate on this week, and it's pretty basic.
All good, guys?
Thank you.
Cheers, Dave.
Thanks, guys.